COVID obviously will affect it.
Oh, yes.
Revenues, the economy, and all of that.
Yeah.
COVID at the same way economy.
No, the way there, Santina, Minister for Finance, did in the mid-term review recently, because COVID, it has devastated the global economy. And yet, Ghana,
we are suffering now.
So when we say our exports will be affected, our imports will be affected, our revenues are declining. At the same time, our expenditures are also. So the deficit will be increasing. And so the COVID has been very, very adverse to our progress. But as I keep saying, it has delayed what we wanted to do, but I don't think it has derailed it. And we believe that the programs that we are putting in place will allow us to recover relatively quickly from COVID in terms of its impact on the economy. We are quite optimistic on that, but the impact on the economy has been adverse, no doubt about that.
So it's delayed but not derailed.
That's right.
After COVID, that is assuming there will be anything like after COVID. But COVID ni Brasia. Yeah, sure say by some na yetimi asuso nyoma mu kakra.
Nyame adom. Because when we say COVID it has revealed a few things. And say Nana Akufo-Addo Oka, Ghana beyond aid, Ghana beyond aid, Ghana beyond aid. COVID by you say this is the time for the practical implementation of Ghana beyond aid, because we are now PPEs, personal protective equipment, mask na dear. Yeni were hospitals more. Now you say this is the time to stop importing those that we can make here. Now you make it so there's a lot of the PPEs are here domestically. So domestic production is very, very important. So we are looking at that side in terms of producing things internally. When we put in our manifesto, try and focus on made in Ghana products. And in terms of government procurement, let's focus on made in Ghana. Let's produce here and let us manufacture here. So there is a lot of thinking, and thankfully for Ghana, we were already on that march towards the Ghana Beyond Aid vision. And with COVID, it is only going to accelerate our march towards the Ghana Beyond Aid. So when we hear industrialization now, 1D, 1F is already in place. We are ahead of many countries in Africa on that. In terms of the industrialization directive, the automotive industry is coming into stream and coming in on its own. So VW, Kantanka, Woho, all of these, Toyota is coming. So you're building automotive industry to come in and help us along with other industries. We're trying to also add value to our bauxite. Yashasi, and by the end of this year, I think Yebe choose a partner for us on the bauxite to begin the integration of the bauxite and aluminium industry. We are doing the same for iron and steel. So the areas the core post-COVID, they've already been identified. We're already on the march towards it, but we just now have to entrench it and accelerate it kakra.
There's a union in tentem kakra.
No.
But some real say COVID amaya and sika sem so ahana kakra ni ade no. Some reason you say abano eye nyoma bebre free meals. Ye ma school kola aduane, ye tua school fees, ye say year of roads, yeah, nyoma bebre. Na obi say scan wa hin e ma nipa bebre fi say anase adwin kire say aban no bobosia dodo na ebi e bosia ne ye bo ade ye sa nyoma we na dachi ye bebre we it looks like we're borrowing now anase that you know.
No.
Going forward, yeah, baby. It's kind of free.
Well, fundamentally, Anka. To me, even if you go to try to borrow and your fundamentals are not right, nobody will give you the money. Santina, we hear 2014, the credibility of the government was very, very low. So they ended up IMF for a bailout, all right, because they couldn't get to the market to borrow. So your fundamentals, as I have said, when you look at the fiscal, you look at the monetary, you look at the external sector and the real sector, your fundamentals were in a much stronger position. And that stronger fundamental position has allowed us, to weather the storm much better. That's what I'm saying, that if you have an economy that could not pay teacher training allowance, how could they have given free water? They wouldn't have been able to give free water. They couldn't have been able to reduce electricity by 50%. They wouldn't have been able to give the meals that we have given, and so on. So the expenditures are undertaken. We are protecting lives and livelihoods. Because you have to look at the economy and you have to look at lives and livelihoods. The president has said that his number one priority is to protect the lives and livelihoods of Ghanaians. Once that is done, as for the economy, we know how to fix it, he said, but we don't know how to bring anybody back to life. So when you come in and you have your children at home, you are using electricity, you are using water. In this COVID, you have to keep washing your hands, but you are not at work, you are not earning, but we are asking you to stay at home. What do? We have to cushion you. So you protect the livelihoods. Say, this few months you will not pay water bill, or this few months, if you are a lifeline consumer, untia electricity bill, and all of that. So when then the health workers, you cushion them with allowances and tax reliefs and all of that. When a boy and the business people, we provided almost 750 million Ghana cedis because a lot of businesses were hurting to do that. But those expenditures were necessary expenditures to cushion our people and to cushion the economy. And this is why when you are in management of economy, when you save for the bad times as well. And we are in a much stronger position to make these expenditures. And by the way, when we say without making some of these expenditures, you would have been seeing a collapsing economy, because that is really the alternative, where we will all be collapsing. But we are making sure that we use the resources to protect lives, to protect livelihoods, and by the grace of God, once this thing blows over, we will be able to get moving again the way we were already moving.
Your Excellency, we're using these resources to protect lives, to protect property, and all of that.
Yes.
But at what cost? Will all of this not come back and bite us one day? And for how long can we continue like this?
Well, the whole issue we raise, is essentially about sustainability. That is all that you're saying.
So you beat me,
that is what economic management is about. Say, in the year 2000, Ghana's total debt was around 9 billion Ghana dollars. In the year 2000, that $9 billion debt, a deal called HIPIC, at that time, inflation was around 40%. Interest rates were in that range. Exchange rate depreciation was around 49%. In that, just a $9 billion debt got us into that position, right? Today, you are having a debt stock of over $200 billion.
Dollars?
No, Ghana cedis.
Cedis.
Yeah, Ghana cedis, right? We inherited a debt of about 122 billion. But if you look at the rate of increase in the debt stock between 2016 and 2019, is the lowest in the decade. between 2016 and 2019, if you include the banking sector bailout, you have an increase in the debt stock of 9.3%. If you exclude the banking sector bailout, it's at 3.9%. Between 2008 and 2012, the rate of increase of the debt stock was 49%. 49. 2012-2016 was 19%. Then for 2016-2019, we are talking about 3.9% if you exclude the banking sector bailout, or 9.3% if you include it. So there's a lot of prudence, notwithstanding the higher debt levels. But these levels are within a sustainable framework, even though we have to manage it. You see inflation coming down. You've seen the exchange rate being stable. You've seen external.
But as I say, COVID inflation across Africa.
Yes. Almost say that we were around about 8%, 7.9 to 8%. So say 11%, and that is understandable within that context. And this is why Mika say, notwithstanding that, you will see, say, the macro fundamentals are in a much better shape than one would have expected. And that's because we were already in a strong position.
Interesting. What about crisis, banking and financial crisis? That is one area that Nipa Bibri Ehunkai, Abainankasa Hokai, individuals, companies, organizations, livelihoods. To start off with, banking crisis, why didn't we just let it ride? I didn't hear Sadi.
Hey, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Let it ride, yeah.
I said, Nipa Bebre Pache said their lives were moving on. Okay. Banking, financial, and idea which anaba.
Usheka Muna, driver no or the Kwashia. Now, Tihosa say everything is going well. Next thing you know, you are jumping over the cliff when you're accident. But let us go back to the beginning. Banking crisis is very sad because the previous government were fully aware, say there was a problem.
They were?
They were fully aware, say no problem was in terms of the financial sector and the banking sector. 2015. IMF Omuye Asset Quality Review. 2015. And it showed major problems in the banking sector. I spoke about it sometime in 2015. And Mika said we have 8 banks which could collapse if nothing is done about it. A former president, in his State of the Nation address in 2016, pointed to the problems, especially in the microfinance sector. Even under their tenure, 82 microfinance institutions collapsed. 82, including DKM. So there were such bad practices of governance and the management of these institutions. We had to step in because some of the banks were set up without any capital. They just lied their way to setting up the bank. They moved money here, showed it to the central bank. Central bank gave them the license, then they moved the money out. And they were using central bank liquidity support for other purposes, rather than reviving these banks. So one would say, by the time we got into office, things were really unraveling. And the new management at the central bank decided to rescue, because we were on the brink, really on the brink of a collapse of the system. And so they had to move quickly to rescue the financial system. And that is why they revoked the licenses, I think, of about 9 banks or so, and 23 savings and loans and over 300 microfinance institutions. And that act is one of the most important acts that have been done to save our economy. Kwame,
yes, sir.
You had depositors, 4.6 million depositors whose monies were at stake. 4.6 million. Kwame, can you imagine, say, Senipe, 4.6 million people will lose their deposits completely? Can you imagine? Like the 82 that had already lost, 82 depositors of the 82 financial institutions that had collapsed before, who were not paid. We were on the brink of losing the deposits of 4.6 million people. Intina, the rescue plan was implemented, and you had to essentially rationalize the banking system and make sure that the deposits were saved. And so those deposits were saved. At the end of the day, government has had to expend, close to 21 billion in the financial sector to save these deposits.
Was it that bad?
It was, Kwame. When I saw the numbers at the time, it was quite frightening.
The reason I'm asking was it that bad is because some have said that we could have handled it better. We could have found ways to go around it without people losing their jobs and
but Kwame, it doesn't make sense because we were trying to handle it. That was how it was being done before as a country. They were being given support to try to keep them afloat.
Liquidity support.
Liquidity support, but it wasn't being used for the right purpose. And when you have people who have mismanaged banks, and they don't have the capital, and they've missed all the supervisory regulatory ratios that are required, it's not new that you close the banks, but you make sure that the customers' deposits are safe. So you move them, in this case, they move them to GCB and Consolidated Bank for the most part.
Also, 2015 as a 2014, IMF, World Bank, Nina, can say, banking crisis, it's on our hands.
Yeah.
I'm a penny Sabreno, so can wasem. Ain't he? I didn't the Bank of Ghana ain't taking action at the time. How about a more Bank of Ghana, Yom Juma?
Yeah.
You've been deputy governor before. I didn't know my Juma, I was or somewhere in 1 year. And how come says I did buy Ubia as a Bank of Ghana?
I think there have been some reforms at the Bank of Ghana as a result. And I think that they have been very, very strong in looking at financial sector and putting in certain governance protocols so that what happened, the AC, in CBIUM, that is what the Bank of Ghana has done, both internally and externally. But you are right, say some of the blame has to be at the feet of the bank in terms of our supervisory oversight, the bank's supervisory oversight, and then you are also dealing with the situation of the banks themselves, who were to a large extent presenting very false and misleading reports to the central bank about the state of their data, their records, their financial records. Very misleading reports, as we've seen. So we are moving forward to do it. Right now, as you know, that there is still the issue of some of the savings and loans and microfinance companies that have not yet been paid. The depositors. The banks have been paid, but what we want to ensure is equality of treatment between what we have done for the bank customers and what we have to do for the savings and loans, and no more any for microfinance customers. So I'm happy to say that so far, as at yesterday, I am informed that the liquidity has now been raised to take care of all the savings and loans and the microfinance companies. So I think that the receiver is going to go ahead starting this week to make payments to to these groups like, DKM customers and so on. It is very, very important that process begin, and we hope it will be completed.
Your Excellency, talking about payment, nipa bi so ho ampa che say Omanpanyin Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ka say ibetiomuka tell YouTube bia ka nso bi pa che so mo sanka omusika ebi so pa che say mama musika no fia bi ana ne aka no mo say bonds bond so de sebe and school fees in electricity in toilet
as I'm say 98% of depositors omusa aka omusika. That's what the receiver tells us. 98%.
Omusika 100%.
Yes.
And I say sikane bond.
Well, I think that there's a mix of the two.
Okay.
Sikane bond so but I think that 98% have gotten. But the bond is just basically an acknowledgement of an obligation to you. So the government may not have enough cash, but tells you that I owe you. Right, so we will give you that money, but that gives you comfort compared with someone telling you have lost your deposits. So, but what we are doing now, the savings and loans and microfinance, what is being raised, I think they are going to try to pay them in cash, and what we are hoping to do also is to try to restructure those bonds so that we can give them liquidity rather than the bond. So that is also work in progress. Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana should be working on as well.